And there we go. We can even pause recording. That's really exciting. Hey, everybody, this is Richard, and welcome to the City Immortal using the Dark Streets and Darker Secrets system. We are missing Joao today as Otto, but we have 3 of the recurring players who are all fabulous, and we're going to start player character introductions with Will as Julietta.
Hello, I'm Will, and my character is Julietta. She is an archaeologist who studies the catacombs beneath the city. And the last thing that happened to her was that she was in a library and some sort of giant bat monster was apparently snooping around the library.
Yes. Alistair.
Yo.
Do a quick introduction.
Alistair Featherfield is the spouse's half-sibling. He was sent here by their father to make sure things happen a certain way. Last time he was confessing to the nun, Danielle and Pierce, but then she fucked off, and now he doesn't know where she went. And this was the night before the festival, just so we're clear.
And this is one of those quasi-religious festivals, correct?
Yeah, like you're supposed to confess beforehand, but no one actually does.
except for Alistair. And we'll find out in a moment sort of what Alistair was confessing about, if it was anything in particular or just a general sense of piety. One sec, let me get rid of some windows. And finally, Leandro, playing Victoria Spire.
Hi, yeah. Victoria Spire is the fixer for the senator's house. She's someone who kind of lurks in the criminal underworld, moonlights as an actress, who had been on tour outside of the Immortal City for a while, came back, broke some promises, knows a lot of people, usual thing. Last session, she was trawling through the pubs the night before the summer festival, went to talk to an old mate of hers, then time slowed down, creepy laughter happened, folk smash ran away, except for her. I guess I'm incapable of running away at the starts of these sessions and took a big hit to her sanity. Not a big hit, but like a hit. And yeah, laughter chilling her soul.
Nice. All right. So when we back up and give our audience a little bit more detailed recap, let's start with Alistair. And we know it was the night before the summer festival. What happened to Alistair, or what was Alistair was confessing as is a religious duty before the summer festival? Was Alistair confessing anything in particular?
If by anything in particular you mean the complication, no.
Okay. Was Alistair confessing anything about his family?
I think do we know how the spouse and and Senator Morrow, the Duchess, how they got together? Do we know anything about that, or do I just establish it now?
Let's review who they are for the audience real quick.
Duchess Teresa Morrow is the senator, as in the senator where all the house part like sharing a house with, and Lady Hendrika is her spouse, who is also my sister, I guess. If we're using she/her pronouns, you didn't add the pronouns like you said you would.
Oh, I thought I'd added pronouns to that one. She/her.
Yeah, she, her. I assumed she, her, but I wanted to make sure.
I went back and did it. I did it in the wrong place, or I double checked it in the wrong place and thought I had done it everywhere. Sorry.
Yeah.
She
I
is.
just wanted to make sure.
She is definitely your older half sister, your much
Yes.
older half sister, who is sort of matronly and affectionate, and what is her name again for the folks at home?
Hendrika, I think I mentioned.
Hendrika.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you were confessing anything about your father's sort of intentions, your father's business, or was this something? What were you confessing?
I think it was something about my father's intentions. And we can like I as a player don't know what they are right now, so I'm happy to elaborate, think of something right now, or leave them up to play.
That's
perfect. As it were. So,
does Henrika know of her father / your father's goals for you being here?
I think not.
Okay. Does Teresa suspect? Do you think?
Oh, a suspect? Yeah, sure. She can suspect whatever she wants.
Okay. All right. And then what happened to your confessor?
I have no idea because I failed that agility check and I haven't seen her.
She gave you penance and then stepped away, correct?
Yeah. In a huff also. So it's not like it was like, oh, one moment she seemed annoyed about something.
All right. What was, Alistair, what was your confessor's name? I don't think I wrote that down.
Daniela Pierce.
Daniela. We have such a detailed relationship map that I will show in a moment, but it's hard to keep.
Such a detailed relationship map that you don't even know the names of any of the characters.
I couldn't find her on here.
She's at the bottom right.
Bottom right. Okay.
I have it highlighted.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right. We need like 5 times more room for the relationship map. All right.
Do I roll luck to see if she disappeared or something?
You can roll luck right now if you want to risk luck.
Well, I'm assuming that's what this 3 is, or is it my own luck?
3 is your luck.
But like, there's a 3 value in
the 3 is your relationship with Daniela.
Oh, okay.
But this is about your luck in hunting down a missing Daniela.
Oh, okay. So in that case, I will opt to fail.
Okay.
To not reduce my luck.
All right. So each relationship you have has a resource number next to it. And if you go to that person with something you need or something like, that would cost them or be troubling for them, you'll roll the relationship number when you lean on that relationship. Luck is more just like, is there something beyond
all right.
what would happen in the normal course that, just so happened to happen this time. All right. Uh, Victoria, tell us
What's up?
about. Let's go into a little bit more detail about what happened to you last time.
Okay.
And that was Victoria, correct? I cannot get. There we go. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. The windows are just moving really slow for me tonight. I had too many open, so getting some shut down. So, Victoria, tell us about what happened last time.
Yeah, I went into what's the name of that pub? The Black Stream Inn, just to hobnob with folks who I know were having like one last brew before going to bed and setting up the summer festival tomorrow. I come in, I saw my old friend, retired actor Roscoe McLaughlin. He's telling some story about how, back in his old day when you had to work with candles, you can be a bit more expressive because you had to, because you were working candles and made it all mystical and spooky. But people are bringing in these, these gas lamps, these more, static sort of lights. And I was about to go there and give him a good what for and say that he's being an old fart because he is. And then the time slowed down. Creepy laughter was heard, and I thought I was the only one hearing that, but everyone was hearing it, and everyone panicked, ran off out of the inn. I struggle to remember if they took me with them or if I was struck numb and stayed at the inn because I failed that check, even with a
Right.
luck roll.
You failed a luck roll, didn't you?
Yeah. But had one more than the others, so I could burn that one.
I think it was willpower. Or was it luck?
Yeah. You failed a willpower roll, but I think did you also fail a luck roll last time?
Yes. You said I could use a point of luck to reroll.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So a home rule I have for Dark Streets and Darker Secrets is you can adjust your roll by a luck roll if you succeed on that luck roll. All right. So poor Victoria ended up, I think, knocked out, correct? Or remind me where you left off.
Yeah, it was a bit hazy for me as well. It's as hazy as being in a weird laughing dream. I think she was knocked out. I don't.
Okay.
She did not stay there because she was okay with the creepiness. Thanks, Maria. But yeah, I think she was knocked out.
All right. And finally, Julietta. Last but not least, you were in a library, and give us a review of what happened there.
So I was in the library late at night. I was researching some stuff related to the crypts underneath Alistair's family's church. And in fact, so this place where Alistair's confessing is probably the church that I'm researching, right?
Right, I think so.
Yeah, you were also investigating the Abbey's lab, the Monolith Abbey's library. You were there.
Yeah, so
you were in the Monolith. Alistair was in the Abbey itself. You were in the library.
So this is the place where at one point I was like spelunking underneath it and got infected with this weird disease that Alistair nursed me back to health. Anyway, so I was in the library and heard a weird noise and thought, oh, someone else is in the library. But when I tried to apprehend them, they escaped through a window. And they were apparently like some sort of huge bat creature, bat person. Basically, I just heard the sound of giant bat wings as they flew out through the window.
And then there was a disappearance, and you were looking for a particular book, and you heard the you heard something in a adjacent aisle of the library. Is that correct? An adjacent aisle of shelves.
Uh-huh.
And that's what sort of caused you to give chase. So over in Monolith Abbey, something has happened in the library. A nun of the abbey, who's very close to at least some members of the Senate, has gone missing, or at least the households of members of the Senate. And over at a local inn, something weird and occultic has happened. And let's start with Alistair.
Yes.
Your confessor and your friend have gone missing. So Daniela Pierce is gone.
Well, this is inconvenient.
What do you specifically why specifically are you close to Daniela?
Because she knows my secrets. So I can't just let her go with and possibly tell all those secrets to everyone. That's why I have to find out where she is.
So what are you doing right now?
Right now, as in immediately after?
Immediately.
Oh, okay. I go to the library since that's the other place I know people are in that I can somewhat trust.
Do you try to rouse a guard? Do you try to let other people in the abbey know, or are you trying to keep it quiet? And if so, what's your hope for keeping it quiet?
Well, first I will ask around if there are guards before I can find Julietta.
I mean, there's not guards near at hand.
Oh,
like there would be guards within screaming distance.
Oh, I'm not gonna scream for guards because she may have just taken a walk or something. I don't know. I literally did not see where she went. So
now you heard something. What is it you heard that when you left your confession booth?
I think it was the lights go out. Like
okay. Mm-hmm.
I think it was a gust of wind. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Me, the player, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was you heard something like wind. It was a little flappy sounding. But and you heard something that might have been a muffled gasp. But then maybe you were hearing things.
All right. In that case, I will go to the library, see if Julietta is there. I can't say that's a thing that happened, so I'm not gonna alert the guards or anything. I mean the gasp or anything.
And you see signs of like a security guard sort of patrolling the gatehouse of the abbey, which is on the other side of a large lawn. And you walk across a portion of the lawn and get to the abbey's library building. Julietta, what are you up to as the window has come open and there's a flapping sound. And I think you see shortly after that, near that open window, you see Alistair crossing the lawn. Did you two come together, or did you just know each other were both here?
I think we probably came separately because we were here for different reasons, but we know each other well. So yeah, I'm probably like picking up all of the books that fell off the shelves. But when I see Alistair, I'll call out, Alistair.
And the window was left very carelessly open, so there's a bit of a mess around the window.
Was the window smashed open, or?
It was definitely pushed open, and it was not a window that the window was designed to open, but no one had opened it in a while. So things were sort of stacked up around the windowsill. So it was not it was a window that did open, but somebody bouncing through it was not what more recent people. So there's papers and tomes on the floor. None of them look terribly badly damaged or anything like that, but there's, they're definitely kind of getting picked up in the wind. And it's been not rainy, but sort of like heavy air lately. So it's, not good for books air. But then again, it's so hard to get good for books air. The kind of dry conditions books thrive in. Which is maybe a concern for you, Julietta. And you see Alistair and you call out. Do you call out to Alistair, Julietta?
Yeah. Alistair, come over here. Come give me a hand with this.
I see some of the papers flutter in the wind, and I catch some of them, and then, or catch the ones that are fluttering outside the building, and then I'll go in.
Something really weird just happened here. I think there was someone or something else was in the library, and then they went out that window.
I was going to ask you if you've seen Sister Pierce. Have you?
Sister Daniela, no, I haven't seen her. I've just been in the library the whole time.
That's strange.
Why? Is she all right?
I haven't. She's might be missing. She left. I was confessing, and she stood up for a break, and she hasn't come back.
How long ago did this happen? And I'm just going to try and like compare notes with Alistair and try and figure out like, did the nun disappear before or after or during the time that there was someone in the library?
It was very close to the time. It's only been moments for both of you, unless Alistair, you're not going to try to hide any. There's not any information.
I'm not gonna hide.
And Alistair, you just like this one, less dramatically because there's less stuff stacked by the window. One of the sacristy windows where you went to find Daniela was wide open. And things were sort of pushed aside at that window. Now, somebody opening the window would have also pushed those things aside. It's not like, the books that were stacked on this windowsill. It was not nearly as dramatic as that. But there was a large open window. And Alistair, you thought you heard something like flapping. And Julietta, you heard flapping, the beating of large bat-like wings. Julietta, you thought bat because of the more sort of like clappy less fluttery sound. That's also somewhat slower. You're a woman of education, so I'm assuming you've been spelunking in caves. I'm going to guess you know the difference between the sound of a bat's wings and the sounds of a bird's wings.
Sure.
So those would be the things that if you're comparing notes, you would see.
Alistair, I
easily.
think there's something very strange going on tonight. I think we need to be on our guard. There might be something of the unnatural happening, because it sounded like bat wings, but I've never heard of a bat that big.
All right. Very well.
Certainly not big enough to crawl around a library, much less toss up in a window and.
Yeah. In that case, I thank Julietta and turn and alert the guards now that Daniela is not found.
Let's go over to Victoria. And Victoria, you sort of kind of swooned there for a second. And and one other thing, you do know that you were looking into the Samolus. Was that correct, Julietta?
That was Otto, I think.
Otto, right, okay. All right. All right. You are collapsed a little bit. Your head, when you come to, and you can't quite get a sense of how long you've been out, and your head is hurting, Victoria, and Roscoe is sort of leaning down, looming over you. And he hands you a flask and is like, "Why don't you drink this?" There's people milling around. You hear the sounds of an inn. It's still insanely warm in here, which feels a little more annoying than it did before you passed out.
Yeah.
And what were you about to say as Roscoe sort of held up his flask for you?
Yeah, I think I'll grab the flask as I kind of like creakily get up, try to regain my dignity, and say like, it's fucking warm in here, isn't it?
He pats your hand, is like, "It's very stuffy. Very, very, very stuffy."
Come on, let's get out of the inn for a bit. I'm honestly choking, and this better be some good stuff. He looks into the flask.
It is. You can tell by the smell. You've already drunk some, right?
I don't think so. I think I didn't get to him before the laughing started.
Oh no! But you've already drunk the from the flask.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap. It is It is so inexpensive you can't really quite tell exactly what it is.
Yeah, I think I grimace after that drank and just like, oh, so this is the proper swill.
Not everybody works for a senator. And Roscoe stands up, leans on his cane, and sort of offers you his arm.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take another swig of his swill.
Go careful, we don't want you passing out again.
You're gonna need like a 20 barrelfuls of this piss and vinegar if you're gonna want to knock me out, Roscoe.
He sort of leads you outside to where it's a little bit breezy. But still like sort of a lingering, looming warmth and stickiness in the air.
I think Victoria takes another swig and says, so I assumed the great Roscoe McLaughlin didn't pass out when the wave of slow down, creepy laughter swept into the inn, did he?
And Roscoe looks at you and arches an eyebrow. Sounds like you had a fainting spell.
Seems like it. I'm not used to that happening to me.
You're not one that's prone to fainting spells, are you?
No, I'd like to think I'm in control of all my faculties at every time, Roscoe. Otherwise, I'd be shit at what I do.
He sits down on a bench and kind of scoots to the far edge of it and sort of gestures for you to sit.
Okay, I'll do so.
Well, when things are not what they appear, fainting spells seem to happen with some regularity. You say things were slowing down?
Yeah, it's like the world is something like filtered through molasses, you know? Or when you become aware of dreaming and you want it to stop, but the dream keeps going. Something like that.
Well, perhaps it's the mind playing tricks on you. He does not look like he believes that.
I think I pass the flask back to him and says, well, it's more than a few weak-minded tosspots in this city, but you know I'm not one of them, Roscoe.
Yes, the weak-minded puppets did not pass out, did they?
It's almost as if, I don't know, whatever phenomena is happening simply passed over them because they were insignificant. And she smiles as if she just realized what she just basically labeled herself as.
And what was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
Oh, she said that the phenomena passed over those weak-minded because it decided they were insignificant, and then she smiled because she basically just said that she was significant.
Well, I think it stirred me a bit too. He says, taking a very hearty swig out of his flask.
Well, we can't all be relevant, Roscoe.
We can't all be weak-minded either. But then I'm not one for telling people what they can't do.
No, you're just a performer, which is good, which is damn good profession, but I've got people to look after now, and this phenomena, it probably won't do them any good if it marks them as significant.
Make another willpower check, this time with a positive die.
Cool. So I roll a d20, right?
Yep.
2d20. That's
You'll roll a d20 twice
yes.
and take the one that looks best for you.
Okay, cool. I'll just generate my own d20s. I should do that. Okay, willpower is 11. Yeah, I'm gonna take that 9.
You feel a wave sort of hit you again of the same sort of like temporal sort of like lag phenomenon. You feel a second of vertigo. And
go ahead.
You sort of like find yourself sort of looking into his eyes. And then you hear like a thump from inside, and you hear some laughter. And then you hear what's the barkeep's name?
the barkeep or that we established, or the tavern owner, or someone else.
Was Singer the tavern owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you hear Singer's voice, yelling, "No, out of here! Too much. No more for you or you. Get him out of here."
I think I'm kind of like, as I steel myself, I'm going to wait to see who's being thrown out.
Just two random people. I think one of them you may know as a minor acquaintance from the acting community. But then I think you'd notice that Roscoe is not breaking eye contact with you.
Now, Roscoe, I know you're a man for a tale or two, but this is getting a tad disconcerting.
And Roscoe sort of uses his cane to tap the ground. And looks back at you and is like, well, you seem to be all right now.
Well, damn. Guess I'm no longer significant.
Oh, no. I think you just got your legs under you. But it looks like whoever's trying to tell people what they can and can't do hasn't quit. And he sort of pulls himself up onto his cane and sort of hobbles off a bit down the road on the pedestrian path. And he's using his cane almost as an affectation, it would seem. He certainly did not seem to use it, or he certainly did not seem to need it when he was guiding you outside.
Yeah.
And now he seems to be leaning on it, just like any other distinguished gentleman walking down the street. He left his flask next to you, though.
think I'm going to take it.
It's a nice,
Yeah.
despite the bad quality of the booze, it is a rather nice flask.
I think, yeah, I'll drain it, tuck it into my coat pocket, and
Make a physique check there.
Oh no, I'm not as tough as Julietta. I think I'm the second weakest.
No one is as tough as Julietta, and I'm the tough.
Okay, all right, okay, I'm 1 over.
You're 1 over. Would you like to test your luck again?
No, I want to see what happens.
You are really, really kind of disoriented and a little bit cheerful. Are you staying in town, or are you heading back to the fashionable district to bed?
Yeah, I think if I'm feeling cheerful, I think I want to shake off. Yeah, I think I want to shake off the bad feeling and also literally all the stickiness that I landed on. I think I'm like, no, I didn't get what I came for, which was to see what's happening. So I think I'm going to try and get better booze at a different inn.
So I'd like you to do 2 things. One is I'd like you to reduce your vitality by 3.
Okay, all right.
And I'd like you to check your money. You check your money the same way you check your luck.
Roll a d6, right?
Roll a d6. You want equal to or under your money score?
Okay. Oh, that's a 6. Yay.
So your money score goes down by 1. And you wake up the next morning with a hangover that it takes a good segment of the morning to get your stomach, your head, and your inner ear all working to your benefit. And it's probably close to noon before you are in decent enough condition to present yourself. Julietta, Alistair has gone to report Danielle's missing to the guard. Is there anything you're doing before you finish up research for the evening and go home?
I will probably take off my cloak and pin it up over the window to keep the damp air from getting in.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so you're heading back home, or are you?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of shaken by what's going on.
Mm-hmm. If you would like to make a luck check, you may.
Okay, sure. Where's that die roller? Okay, so roll a d6.
You want 3 or less.
3 or less. So I got a 2. That's a success.
All right. Ask me 2 questions about details you notice about what was sort of missing. Not missing, but the things that were dropped on the way out, including the papers Alistair grabbed.
Right. So about the crime scene, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that there's not much organization going on in this library, but what type of documents does it seem were being taken?
When you went back that way, you noticed that there was a large genealogy of the early kingdom, when the state of power was sort of reversed. There was an authoritarian king and an advisory senate rather than a constitutional advisory monarch, um, and a senate that had intense executive and legislative authority.
Was this the time of the old religion?
It's time when things crossed over.
Right. So that's really my field of interest.
Yeah. You've got one other question.
One other question.
And this is just about things you noticed as you were getting ready to go after Alistair left.
Did the intruder leave any traces of themselves, like footprints or hairs?
I think it would be less footprints and more claw-like scratches on the windowsill, as if a very large bird had roosted there. But you know it's been a long time since that window has been open.
Okay, well, I'm going to roll up the genealogy that seemed to be important and take that back to my study with me, along with whatever else I was collecting.
You know that the volume towards the end, you know, certainly this is a multi-volume. Are you taking all the volumes, or all the volumes you can get your hands on, or?
Is there any particular volume that seemed to be what the intruder was interested in, or hard to tell?
It's clearly that 2 volumes are missing from the shelf.
I see. So 2 volumes have been taken. In that case, I'm going to take all the rest of the volumes, even if it fills up my whole backpack.
Oh yeah. It's less of, you know, it. Yeah, I feel like your backpack is probably already moderately full with your normal research. So it's definitely like you're clearly walking out of the library with an armful of this genealogy. And what's missing are what would be the last of the consecutive hereditary monarchs.
Right. Okay. This might be like an action for a bit later, but I would like to ask around with my contacts in the city and see if there's any libraries that would have another copy of this set of genealogies.
All right. You also know the person who made this was a chronicler of some scandal in the early days of the constitutional elected monarchs. An eccentric.
So the person who wrote the genealogy was
who collected the genealogy. Right.
So that would be this is, we've lost the books from the end of the absolute monarchy. So right. that must be from near the end of the volumes of the genealogy. Mm-hmm. If the writer was writing around that time.
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, when I get the chance, I will see if there's any other copies floating around the city.
All right, so you're headed home?
Yep.
All right, Alistair Featherfield, you've gone to the guard, who seem a little bit unperturbed, but, you know, it's like reporting any adult missing in a quasi-modern world. You know, the guard automatically assumes that they've gone to do something of their own interest and have, you know, they will turn up, but they promise you that they will keep an eye out for her, and they'll check her apartments and her cell, and the retreat house and all the typical things.
I thank the guards.
They looked a little patronizing, but where are you headed now, Alistair?
Going to the inn. I mean, after confessing, what do you do?
And you arrive, and it's late. And Singer is passing off the bar to a couple of employees. And sees you. What does he pour you? As he comes over with 2 drinks.
I think it's like the best wine he has.
I think he brings the bottle.
Oh, the bottle. Yes, that's good. Also, I apologize for the squeaking of my chair.
That's all right. I think he asked you if he's putting this on the tab of House Mara or House Featherfield, as he fills your glass in his own glass.
Mine.
That's very responsible of you. It's been a night. Where have you been?
Confessing. Upholding tradition.
Like a good country lad, he says, smiling.
Yes.
The quality of your parentage is showing. We'll have to work harder to corrupt you. I probably should confess, though, too. It seems the gods have decided to curse me.
What happened?
Idiots for customers. 3 people passed out tonight. Early in the evening. You'd think that would be a late evening thing, but no. All before the middle of the night. Barely 10 o'clock. And they're
passed out.
Passing out. I don't know, a bunch of actors.
Right.
That friend of yours, Victoria Spire.
Oh.
One of the early ones.
Oh.
Didn't have to yell at her, though. She had a friend escort her out.
All right.
The rest of them had to be explained no longer serving.
All right. I can talk to Victoria.
Oh, it's, getting a little too drunk is nothing for me to complain about as long as they leave when they're there.
Fair enough. But I don't know Victoria to be such a light drunk.
It happens to everybody. Eventually.
True.
Just like the conservatives say, wine leads to debauchery and vice, he says, offering you a toast.
I will toast back to debauchery and vice.
Are you out for the rest of the evening, or are you heading home early?
I can stay here if you want me to.
Well, to debauchery and vice, then.
Yeah.
Anything you would like to ask him before we cut to the next day?
Has he seen anything strange?
Other than the people passing out?
Other than the people passing out, like at... yeah.
One sec. Strange like what?
I must say I didn't finish the confession. The nun went missing.
Well, that's very weird. Why did you say something terribly shocking?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you do something that's gone beyond the normal level of degeneracy for a young aristocrat?
I wouldn't imagine that.
Good, because I wouldn't want you to leave me out. But no, I mean, just, the normal level of debauchery that people can afford in a tavern.
Yeah.
Oh, that has been Roscoe. What's his name? The old actor.
Yes. What about him?
He was here earlier.
What about him?
Oh, that's weird. That's very unusual. I don't usually get has-been celebrities.
All right. Keeping that in mind. Thanks.
All right. Let's take 10 as a break. Does that sound about right? We'll pick up with the beginning of the summer festival the next day. And just a reminder, when your concept comes up, you're automatically at advantage all the time. Every time your concept comes up. So that's just remember to roll with advantage, or at least cancel any, or with a positive die, or at least cancel any negative die when you that. So and I will see you guys at 9 or 55 after the hour, which I do not remember Australia time. I'm sorry, Will. But 55 after the hour, and I will see you then. Welcome back to everyone who's made it back. I see people popping back on. Well, I'll give you a second to get your camera back on, or if you're here, there you are. You didn't even need the second. All right. It is, well, I was going to say the next morning, but Victoria may need a little more than a morning. We've all been there, Victoria. And the festival started. Teresa, as a senator, has official duties around the start of the festival. Alistair, what does Teresa usually have to do first day of the festival? What's the big event?
I think it's she has to officiate. It's an opening ceremony of sorts. She has to do that with the other senators.
Nice. Okay. And so Teresa wakes up early, and Hendrik leaves with her. With Conradi looking a little begrudging about the fact that they have to do that as well. Julietta, you're a scholar and you don't have a specifically aristocratic, a major aristocratic bloodline to uphold. Do you go to these sort of festival events?
I think I'm here because Conradi invited me because they're my patron.
Oh, and, right.
It's kind of like I would rather be doing research, especially into this incident that happened the night before. But it's kind of required as part of Conradi being my patron. I have to sort of show up as part of their entourage. There's there's like a poet and there's an artist and there's just like all these kind of cool people that Conradi has surrounded themselves with by paying them money.
Right. How many of them actually live at the manor?
I don't know. I guess like 4 or 5. If that's not too many. It's a pretty big estate, right?
Yeah. I mean, they refer to it as the townhouse. And certainly not every room in the townhouse is comfortable. There are several that you're glad you're not in right now because they are insanely, excessively warm, largely just because they are internal without windows. Because it's sort of like it's an overlarge townhouse. So on the upper floors, every room is not external facing. But so there's you, there's a poet. Who else did you mention?
I don't know, like maybe an artist. A singer.
Nice. Okay.
I'm probably the odd one out. Most of them are artists or performers of some kind, and I'm an archaeologist. But Conradi kind of sees me as a performer as well. Like my job is to like talk about the work I've been doing and like tell stories of my adventures in the catacombs, and like I want to talk about, you know, the historical details, but Conradi and their friends mainly just want to hear like exciting stories of underground adventures.
So Conradi has brought the whole entourage this morning, correct?
Yeah, I think Conradi's not very interested in this whole affair, so the entourage is their way of keeping themselves sane.
Right. Alistair,
Yes.
did you join them or did you stay home?
First of all, I was not home.
That's right.
So I was late to the party.
Did you return to home this morning to rejoin them, or did you stay at Singor's, or did you come home to your own bed?
I went home to join the party fashionably late.
Ah, right. So you did not ride in the carriage.
No.
You took a taxi.
Yeah.
Well done. All right. I mean, it's not terribly fashionable to use motor cars to attend official events.
But I'm not a senator. I'm just a relative of one of the spouse. Not even just a relative of the senator, even so.
Much less a cab. But you know, you're fashionably enough late that no one important sees you pulling up outside. Victoria, I take it you did not try to get up after the second time you threw up?
Yeah, that was kind of a warning sign. Like, maybe a few more minutes / hour. No, wait, no. No, I gotta be somewhere.
Did you have them bring you seltzer? Did you just try to sleep it off?
I've always operated under the assumption that adversity should be fought face up. No, actually, no, that's not something I believe in. No, I think maybe I wish I believed in that, but I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for that. I think I had some seltzer packed near my bed because this happens quite a lot.
Some seltzer, some dry biscuits.
Yeah, just whatever remedy's about.
Well, the junior servants are more than willing to bring, and you're important, but you're not the kind of important who has to be seen with the family.
Yeah, I get a feeling that like
you're discreetly important.
Yeah, I'm not because of what I do for them and kind of like what people I'm connected to. I'm not like out and about. Like people know I work.
Right.
For the Senator. Not significant enough.
Yeah. Shame.
I mean, I think Teresa probably likes to have you at events so that you can watch people, so that she doesn't have to.
Yeah, definitely.
You may be hearing about that tonight.
Oh, lovely.
We'll find out. But there is a rap at your door. Which certainly annoys your headache, but does not annoy your stomach. You're starting to regain a little bit of appetite. And then there's another rap at your door.
Beware, something foul bestirs within this room.
Are you taking visitors, ma'am?
I could, but okay. Give me 5 minutes. I'll try to pick myself up.
Shall I tell him to wait then, ma'am?
Please. I think that whoever's behind us hears some power grumbling. Oh God!
You can see the pattern of somebody curtsying underneath the half-inch of the door frame. And walking away down the tile, and then going downstairs. Anything you're doing in particular to get ready?
Yeah, I think. First off, I think there's probably like maybe a basin of water I'm just gonna like dunk my head into. And I think that probably like shocks some not
They
life,
did bring
but like,
you water and ice when they brought you your seltzer.
oh, thankfully, nice servants. And yeah, I think I just like kind of lethargically just put on my usual outfit, just I guess that picture. My hat has. I hope my hat is miraculously still around.
You've somehow not lost your hat.
Oh, thankfully, I like this hat. There's a story behind this hat, and yeah, I think I put on this ascot that's a bit stained. I pick up last night's ascot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and you head downstairs?
Yeah, I've put on my armor, so to speak, even though mechanically it is not armor, it's just clothing.
At Royal Palace Hall, where the summer festival ceremony is taking place, Lord Edward is 15 to 20 minutes past the time he should have stopped speaking, by your estimation. Alistair and Julietta, I think. Julietta, you sort of came pre-board, so you probably thought he should have stopped speaking about 25 minutes ago.
I took this into consideration, which is why I'm okay being fashionably late.
You looked at the schedule.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Alistair, he had not stopped by the time you arrived and has been going on. In the brief time, Alistair, what is the most... What insult has he given people in the city that you take most to heart or find most frustrating?
Insult towards whom?
Anybody. He's insulted many people in the last 25, 30 minutes.
Reminds me of what's going on in Puerto Rico right now, but let's not get into that. I think he has a particular insult for the new religion people, which is why it pisses me off, because my family is made up of new religion people. We don't even have a name for the religion, so please don't ask me a name for the insult.
Julietta, what allusions has he made to the Opal Ocean?
To the Opal Ocean.
Those are sort of the
rich.
the Dadaist decadence.
And he's a conservative, so he's probably not a big fan of the Opal Ocean.
Oh, no. What allusions has he made to them? He sort of made veiled condemnations of things they've done. What are some of the allusions he's made?
I think he's talked about moral and cultural decay, and in particular, something about morally corrupt scenes on our city streets, which is a non-specific statement, but it's clearly an allusion to some of the kind of like weird performance art type things that they do, which are
they're certainly cruel in and of themselves. They're not, much like the Dadaists, they certainly don't think that human suffering is a reason to stop a performance. Or like the extreme Dadaist.
Sure, and especially when it's suffering of the lower classes who are not part of the Opal Ocean, because you have to be rich to be a part.
Right. But, certainly that's not the part he's complaining about.
No, but I think I think he's not opposed to the basic power structures that are going on, but he's opposed to it being so flagrantly. I guess the Opal Ocean people would be we're exposing the hypocrisy of society by
right.
One of their things might be they'll I don't know, they'll hire a bunch of beggars and make them do, I don't know, weird stuff in the street, and they're like, this just goes to show how messed up our society is, that we can pay these beggars to dance for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So sorry, I was just checking real quick. And he goes on, and all of a sudden he stops, and he says something that makes good rhetorical sense to your trained mind, but is probably a little disconcerting. To others here, or disorienting at least to others here. You hear him say, but of course our critics in the world of art and letters are correct. We are terrible hypocrites. And he goes off with sort of a brief rundown of several pieces of hypocrisy. And he makes veiled allusions to scandals that have rocked the Senate in the past year, and have not really rocked it to its core, but certainly embarrassed individual senators. And then he says, but but that does not mean our moral standards should be abandoned. That means our leadership should be purified. And that's where he ends the speech, to a brief, oddly scattered bit of applause. The monarch, the queen, looks perturbed as she stands up and gives a brief toast to all the people who've spoken, and says she hopes you'll enjoy the refreshments. And she continues to scowl at Lord Edward as she returns to talk to the Duchess and other sort of ranking senators. All of whom are sort of giving Lord Edward side-eye. What are the two of you doing over at the party at this sort of late morning social event? Lord Edward is being cheered on by several young conservatives from the Senate and their aides. He's certainly, they're giving him side eye, but he's certainly not alone. And then there's just, all sorts of society folks milling around. What are the two of you up to?
I think, to my great embarrassment, Conradi is getting me to show off my muscles again, which is one of his things. He's like, look how swole, look how tough Julietta is, and then I have to roll up my sleeves and be like, yeah. But what I would really like to be doing is trying to make my way through the crowd to Alistair. But first, I have to satisfy my patron.
Yeah, Conradi is showing off, and I think several people in the crowd are certainly impressed as he boasts of your ability to turn over large boulders and lower yourself from cliff faces, and he brags of several largely apocryphal physical feats that you've accomplished in your adventures.
And I'm trying to just steer the conversation back towards my historical discoveries and my research, and most of the people aren't really that interested in the minutiae of the research.
What we want to know about is the time you wrestled a bear with a knife. And then somebody else laughs. It's like, well, did you have the knife or did the bear have the knife? And it's clear that you can sort of wander off now.
I'll try to make my way to Alistair.
Yeah, Alistair is trying to figure out where the hell is Victoria in all this mess. Wasn't she supposed to be here?
Victoria is not here. Are you asking anybody?
I'll ask. If I can't get the senator herself, I'll ask my half-sister. Because the senator is her patron, so...
Henrika, I think, sort of gives you a quick... she's busy, sort of, but she kind of gives you a quick nod, like, did not come home by the time I had gone to bed, but was in her room with the door sealed this morning when the Duchess went to knock.
I see.
You weren't in your room when the Duchess knocked. I knocked myself and the door came open and you weren't there.
That is accurate.
A time may soon come, dear brother, when senatorial houses have less free reign than they have had in the past. You should be prepared for that. She doesn't look like she's telling you news she's happy to be discussing, but she's trying to be pragmatic.
I nod and say, well, we should enjoy what we have while we have it. Should we not?
You don't know what's at the edge of your mouth, but she does the thing she does where she sort of dips a napkin into a glass of water and then sort of dots at the edge of your mouth. You've begun to suspect when she doesn't know what to say, she acts maternal.
Mm.
And then sets the napkin on the table. Well, then you should enjoy the reception while you are here. There's another set of speeches starting in half an hour.
Who's talking?
The Duchess, my wife.
Ah. In that case, I will be glad to be here for it.
And then she rattles off several of the old aristocratic senators, all of whom have big titles like Countess or Duchess.
Out of curiosity, did Dressfall already talk?
Dressfall has not shown up yet.
Okay. Like, this is not something that Alistair would have asked, but like, this is outside player knowledge.
Yeah. No, there's definitely several boxes for senatorial families that are not yet, don't have anyone in them.
Okay.
That are underpopulated, and Dressfall is the one duchy that has had no one show up yet.
Because of course.
It's likely they've not left the baths yet. But you do see Victoria heading towards you, or Juliet. Yeah, you see Julietta. I do not know why I cannot keep Victoria and Julietta straight in my head. I apologize. You see Julietta headed towards you.
Oh, Julietta. It is. You're here. I'm here. What say you? We discuss things further. From what happened last night.
Yeah, I glance over my shoulder at Conradia and I say, if you can take me somewhere out of sight of my patron, they'll probably forget about me for a while.
Very well. I guess I'll escort Julietta somewhere safe-ish.
You can look back over, and Conradi and the poet in the little sort of creative entourage is everyone is sort of wrapped and laughing at Conradi's poet is a satirist, and clearly is reciting some political satire, probably with Lord Edward as the punchline, repeated punchline, because people are laughing rather indecorously in the vicinity. And the two of you step away.
So, have you heard anything more? Have you seen Sister Daniela since last night?
I have not. Have you seen Victoria? I have received. I've heard that she may have been drunk again, but she also had problems sleeping, I assume. So it might be nothing, but might be worth looking into.
Well, Victoria always knows what's going on in the city and always has her finger on the pulse. So yeah, I think we should find her and ask her. But by the way, I'm not so familiar with all the details of politics in the city, but should we be worried about this Lord Edward? He seemed to be making some pretty aggressive statements in his speech.
Oh, I'm definitely worried. Don't worry about that.
Is there anything I can do to help? I don't know what I can do as an archaeologist. It all seems beyond me.
He's stuck in the past. You're also stuck in the past. Find something that ties it all together.
I see. Can I ask out of character? So he's a conservative. Does that mean he's in favor of the old religion and against the new religion?
Not necessarily.
I thought
I
that
mean,
was the whole thing with the.
there's
Oh,
definitely like conservatives who are both for the old religion. He is anti-libertine, and there's streaks in of anti-libertine uh, in both the old and the new religion. Um, he's a little bit more of a firebrand about the old ways than a lot of other conservatives are, though, which I think is the tie-in. You also know, though, that several of the virtue stories about the virtues of the old monarchs he told today were utter bullshit. I mean, just they aren't history so much as just sort of hagiography. Um, and he was being politic and not citing them as monarchs, but as citing them as old aristocrats. But everyone he cited was a monarch, and their supposed virtues were largely bullshit.
I see. Well, I'll mention that. I'll say, he said that he told that old story about King so and so the fifth, and how he got down on his knees and abased himself before that donkey in a show of humility. That was just completely complete nonsense. Never happened. Donkeys weren't even introduced to this city until several hundred years later.
good. Have you found anything new on your end?
Well, that reminds me, actually. That king I was just talking about was, I think, whoever it was in the library last night was trying to steal a genealogy that related to the late monarchic period of the city.
What was
Really?
who was the king you just named?
I just said King so and so, so I should probably come up with a name.
I think you said Henry V. I could be wrong.
I felt like I heard the fifth.
Yeah,
I heard Henry V. I think. I could be completely wrong.
No, maybe not Henry V, just because that's like a real king, I think.
Everyone's gonna be a real king.
I
I
guess
think.
so. Let's say his name is Haro the Fifth, Haro the Fifth.
Haro.
And he was someone who he's one of the kings that was in the 2 volumes of the genealogy that were stolen.
What was an especially egregious display of vanity on his part?
He actually had himself consecrated as a god, and was like, there've been a few sort of legendary kings who have become worshipped as gods, but he was like, everyone's going to worship me while I'm still alive, and he was able to enforce it while he was alive. There were a lot of like statues put up, and a whole set of new religious rites that he invented. And once he died, everyone pretty much abandoned that very quickly because they all thought it was stupid, but they couldn't say that while he was alive.
Right. But after that, his descendants were like, no, everyone else wanted him to be a god, and he just, in his humility for himself, he just let them have their way.
Nice.
Type thing.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? Do you feel like that was sort of the beginning of the end of the old monarchy?
Yeah, I think that was like a bit of overreach, and then once people went back on that religion, that was kind of the beginning of power being relinquished by the old monarchs.
Nice. Okay. Anything else the two of you want to discuss?
I would like to speak with Edward. So I will excuse myself from Julietta and speak to go elsewhere.
Okay. Julietta, anything you'd like to do before we cut to that?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Edward is talking in low tones to several people. There are several people standing around Edward sort of looking expectant. Like they're sort of tensely waiting for him to do or say something.
I would like to eavesdrop before anything.
Let's go with agility right here.
Oh boy, agility. Do I get a positive die for being an aristocrat?
Yes, I mean you're at a function. It's
Right.
an aristocratic function. You're sort of supposed to be here.
All right, cool. I got a critical.
What did you get?
10.
10.
And my agility is 10. Actually, if it was anything except my physique, it would have been a critical. Because my intellect is also 10, and my willpower is 12, and my other die was 12. So.
You hear him talking about the evidence and you hear him discuss fitness and appropriateness and we'll make a donation as agreed. When you see somebody with a sort of not clerical robes, but sort of a clergy street dress, so the all black, a couple of important decorative pins, kind of a clerical collar around, some really, really delicate fine embroidery around the edge of both the cuffs of the jacket and the cuffs of the shirt. And as soon as we will make the donation that was agreed, this person hands Lord Edward an envelope. Which Lord Edward tucks into his shirt and sort of looks around at the people gathered. And then says something about it being almost time.
Greetings, Lord Edward.
You see several photographers and journalists sort of at the periphery of Lord Edward's sort of circle of admirers and hangers-on, all of whom are men.
Of course.
And they're he arches an eyebrow towards you and just says, Mr. Featherfield. Not even hesitating, clearly 100% aware of exactly who you are. And you see several of the reporters sort of arch their eyebrows and start to make a note. Is there anything we can do to help you? Or to assist you?
Well.
And several of the people who immediately around him sort of take a step back. and pretend they were talking about something else?
I just wanted to say that was a lovely speech you made.
Indeed. It was an unpleasant speech to make. One hates to criticize one's senatorial colleagues.
I suppose that is the case. I would not know, as I am not a senator.
It is an unpleasant reality of our current situation that there are times when partisan politics trumps civility. Wouldn't you agree?
It may be a thing of my generation, but I think civility is important. But you are right in a sense. There must be a time for harsh truths.
For speaking sternly. Indeed, the table talks of Harrow the Sixth.
What about Harrow the Sixth?
Harrow the Sixth, who reminded his attendants that there were times that members of the nation, representatives, delegates, and diplomats must speak truth frankly and without embarrassment.
In that case, may I speak frankly with you?
I would hope that you and I may always speak frankly to each other.
I look around, right? Do I recognize any of the people who attacked me?
You do not. When were you attacked again? From the backstory was?
Or like either I was either attacked or like it's basically what Victoria was good for, or not good for, but like what I gave to Victoria for being quick.
So what was the brief narrative there?
I think it was tied to Otto as well, in that the hanger's son would have attacked of Edward would have attacked me if I took a wrong turn or something, and Victoria led me on, or I may have been misremembering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you. I remember that now. Thank you.
All right.
I did not.
So
get
I
that
don't think I was actually attacked. It's more like I knew there was gonna be an attack or something.
No, I think that's my backstory with Otto. He knew something.
Oh, that's true. That's accurate. Then what was the backstory with me and you?
I remember, yeah, it was an alleyway, but I don't think we actually fleshed out what it was.
I think it was the alley, something about Hanger's son of Edward as well. I don't remember. In any case, I will. I will.
You can push your luck, but you'd be pushing your luck to see if you recognize anybody.
No, I'm fine not pushing my luck. I think I.
One sec.
Sorry?
Sorry. No, Siri came on for no reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can. If you're fine not pushing your luck, you're good.
Yeah, I can
don't-
find
you
other
don't
reasons
s-
to like chew it on this guy.
You don't see anybody you particularly recognize.
Um,
And let's cut from there, unless you want to ask him another question.
I was gonna egg him on more than anything, like
What were you gonna say?
something like along the lines of some like basically some field thread that I can think of right now.
Um,
Like, if I may speak the truth.
and 1 second. Sorry, I have too many windows open, so trying to get to the die roller is. Yeah, he looks at you and said, "I would never fail to accept the truth from someone so closely tied to the people of Blackstone Inn." Do you respond to that, or do you continue on?
I would be more concerned about what happens at court than what happens at the inn for someone as high a stature as you.
One must surely take a few risks, wouldn't you agree, Mr. Fairfield?
A risk for what, may I ask?
At court, for politics' sake.
Politics for politics' sake, and not for the
No.
people's sake. Is that what you are about?
I'm about the good of the nation. And you hear people beginning to hush or quiet on the far side of the room. And you
We'll
hear
see
people
each other
beginning
again.
to clear their throats and a ringing on a crystal goblet.
We'll see each other again. And then I swiftly go back to the to my place.
And the Duchess stands up. In the entire conservative faction and all their attendants and hangers-on immediately stand and exit the hall, just as everyone else is sitting down to listen to the Duchess.
I'm gonna shadow them if that's the case.
They're not going very far. They're just going outside to hail cabs. It was more of a protest walkout, a snub.
Okay, if that's the case, if
And now
it's nothing too
as soon as
serious.
they do that, all the journalists immediately turn and run after them, trying to get quotes and snap pictures.
Oh, okay. In that case, if I know it's nothing super serious, as in like, they're suddenly going to raid the entire thing. No,
they're not.
Okay.
They don't seem to be going one place. They intended to embarrass the Duchess.
Oh, okay. So I'll stay there then.
Julietta, anything you want to do? You see that last bit happen.
I think it's all a bit above my head, but I'm looking out for Victoria whenever she shows up.
Still not shown up. And Victoria, you are almost to the drawing room when a servant sort of runs up to give you Roscoe's calling card.
Oh, lovely. Didn't think he still had any of those.
It is a rather weathered in age calling card. You know that calling cards are supposed to be folded in particular way. The corners of calling cards are supposed to be folded in particular ways to indicate whether someone is staying and waiting, whether they would appreciate a return visit, whether they just came by and there's no expectation of a return visit. His calling cards have been straightened out several times, reflattened. And there's no folding. There's no folding or indicating what he wants currently. And the maid is opening the door to the parlor.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll slip the calling card back into my pocket next to the flask, actually. And I'll see who this visitor is.
The empty flask.
Yeah, it's empty. Yes. For now, it's empty.
Roscoe is put on something rather as close as he has to nice clothes. And has a rather dandyish top hat. Even though it's not really time for it, he has on riding boots, even though he has no idea how to ride. In a top coat that is several decades out of fashion, but is ornate. And says, I returned home and realized my flask was missing. It's rather dear to me.
Really, Roscoe, I've seen you go through so many receptacles in your time. By the way, you're looking quite well.
Well, I retired shortly after I spoke with you. And after all, I didn't have a flask and an expense account.
Well, it pays to be where I am these days. And besides, if you're gonna fill that flask with nothing but swill, I dare say it deserves to be treated better. And I think I take out the flask.
Could I have the calling card back too? Those aren't free to be printed.
I'm surprised you're still handing these out. What am I being called for? So I take out the card as well.
Oh, well, I wanted my flask returned.
You want your flask returned, and dare I ask, this get-up of yours, is this how you go about these days?
Is this how oh, no, only when I make a call on someone very important or when I really want to show off my calves.
Well, they are quite beauteous. You need not dress up for my account, old dear. And
For all I knew, the Duchess would be home.
Oh, the Duchess. Well, the Duchess is quite busy.
Oh,
busy enough that I probably should be by her side, but
He sits back down.
The night takes its toll. I kind of sit across him.
It does. I understand tea is good for one's constitution after a night of drinking.
You would know. You are the veteran in these parts.
Well, yes, it is. And of course, it's nearly impossible to get servants to bring tea appropriate for one, so...
I think I kind of... Assuming there's like maybe like a servant or two nearby.
Oh yeah, you can ring for someone.
Yeah, I can ring, giving Roscoe a good-natured smile and says, well, I hope I'm not keeping you from anything terribly important.
Oh, no. I had other business to discuss with you as well.
Ooh, other business? That sounds positively nightmarish.
Well, if you just can't discuss the hypocrisy of the Senate, then once we have tea, I can be going. But it's become a topic near to our hearts. And he pats his chest dramatically.
Everything that flows through the city flows through the Senate. I have to live by its whims. Why else would you think I'm here?
Well, we can dispute. He certainly rolled whatever he said after, the letter after S as if he was going to say R. Dispute the Senate's whims, especially with that horrible Edward.
Edward's a symptom. He's a big, screaming symptom. Well, I fear you lance him away, there'll be another symptom to take his place.
Oh, are you afraid of Edward?
I'm concerned because it's my job to be concerned.
Well, I know that he and the Duchess have never seen eye to eye, and not just because she's taller than he is.
With the work I do these days, you learn to just jump at every perceived shadow. And Edward's more than a perceived shadow these days. I think I put the flask and the calling card in between us. I just assumed there's a table between us.
Oh yeah, definitely. He sort of eyes them. You want to keep him at a distance, and I want to keep him exposed for the hypocrite he is. The power-mongering, asinine hypocrite that he is.
Well, we agree on that accord, at least. And don't get me wrong, Roscoe. I might say that lancing him will just replace, just have him replaced. Doesn't mean it's not worthwhile to lance him off this city's diseased form.
Then perhaps we can collaborate.
think, I'd lean forward and says, I would very much be interested in becoming in a collaboration. Feels like it's been a while. I'm sure you still have a few more tricks to teach me.
Yes. I think that your brain and my sense for the dramatic should match up.
And I think I kind of lean back and says, what sort of drama are you dreaming up, Roscoe?
One that will bring Lord Edward to his knees.
That's when the tea comes in, probably after a dramatic statement. And I think as the tea is being set for the victorious thinking. And I think she'll take a sip of tea first, just to like fortify herself.
And then are you saying something after you fortified yourself? Because he has prepared the tea but not started sipping it.
And I think I put the tea down and ask, Roscoe, I've wondered how you've managed to just not do what most of our kind do and just fade as the world rushes past them.
Because I intend to make a dramatic exit, he says, downing his tea in one very, very hot tea in one gulp.
Oh my God.
And then he waves his hand. What is your willpower?
All right. It is it's an 11.
And then nothing happens. You feel something sort of wash over yourself, much like you did last night, but it doesn't take you. It doesn't hold. And he just says, with a slight air of frustration, I'm getting very, very impressed with your ability to resist my charms. And he stands up, finishing the tea, folding a small sandwich into a napkin, and bows and heads for the door.
I think I kind of call back after him. Well, it's like you said, Roscoe, sea legs.
Exactly. And do tell your employer that I am apologetic about those things that have been necessary.
If the Duchess doesn't learn to appreciate what's necessary, she won't last long in the Senate. I think
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You were about to say?
No, I think I was just going to say that Victoria stand up as well. And no, she just stands up. I don't know. She just dramatically stands up when she says that as Roscoe leaves.
The maids both seem very confused at the, somebody just standing up in the middle of tea and leaving. Alistair,
Yes.
And Victoria, how are you getting home from the
Victoria or
reception?
Julietta?
Julietta, I'm so sorry. Julietta, I apologize. How are you and Julietta getting home from the summer reception that has been weirdly disrupted? I mean, Teresa still made her speech, but it was to a much reduced crowd as people were muttering and sort of trying to figure out why the entire sort of conservative bloc stood up and walked out. And most of the journalists had gone. So there was not like the flurry of cameras taking her picture as she ascended to the podium and all that good stuff.
I think
How are the two of you getting home? That's a question for both of you.
I think there was a seat like the seat that was supposed to be for me in the cab and the carriage. Since I'm technically now with them.
Yeah, we can just go home in the carriage.
When the Duchess stayed behind to talk to some senators and the monarch, the Queen, did Conradi stay with them, or was it Henrika who stayed with them? I will have Julietta. You can, well, Julietta, just give me a high or low.
High. Or do you want me to roll?
No, I got it. Conradi, yeah, went straight to their mother's side. As Henrika sort of gathered the members of the household who were sort of around to into the carriage. And Henrika is very quiet on the way back. Henrika is normally charming and funny. She wants to hear satire. She wants to talk to everyone. She's very quiet. She's clearly agitated. And that's when you notice the carriage stopping. And the traffic around the carriage is also stopped. You see one sort of automobile sort of pass to your left. And you hear somebody talking to the driver in low tones. What are the two of you doing?
I'm going to get out and take a look down the street, see what's blocking the traffic.
Same.
You both look out. Are you getting out to the opposite sides of the carriage?
Yeah.
The poet's scribbling notes, and the musician is sort of dozing off after a long but not terribly drunken night against the side, and Henrika is looking annoyed. And you both kind of exit, and there's four young men with batons. Sort of standing around the carriage. And one of them has a pistol aimed at the driver. And the others seem to be just carrying batons.
So there's 3 guys with batons and 1 guy with a pistol
And a baton.
and a baton.
Is this the police?
It does not look like the police.
And they've stopped just our carriage?
There's not a lot of other, carriages on the street. You saw the one sort of car sort of pass you.
And do we have any guards on this carriage?
I can check, or you can press your luck.
I don't know. You check.
Since this was Conradi's carriage, they normally don't take guards. They normally have a guard in their entourage, and that guard stayed with them. And Henrika normally relies on the Duchess's guard.
I see someone pointing a gun at the driver, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Just, everybody stay calm. Nobody panic. And hand us your shrugs, wallets, and jewelry, whatever you've got on.
Am I carrying a weapon? Probably not.
No, I don't think you'd be carrying it. You might be carrying a revolver, you're Julietta is a woman of experience. She might be carrying a revolver.
I have concealable knives because they're my favorite weapon.
Right, and they're concealable.
So yeah, I will throw a concealable knife at this asshole for being an asshole in my fucking carriage.
Why don't both of you check agility real quick?
Okay, agility 9.
Do I have positive dice? Yes, that is exactly why I have that concealable things. That is a 4.
And what is your agility, but each of you?
10.
10. And what's your agility, Julietta?
My agility is 9.
And you got a what?
I'm not even really sure where my dice appear on this dice roller.
They normally appear sort of right there between the 2d6. Do you know
Right,
what?
so is that a 3? Is that what I just rolled?
It looks like it.
Okay, good.
You can also see where you see that last room total tokens.
Last roll, yeah. Okay.
Last roll total always shows the last roll.
Cool.
And you also got a 4, is that correct?
Yep.
You both go before they go.
It's also past 11, so I don't know if we want to have combat right now.
Let's do it. This is a pretty fast little system.
All right, cool. I'm gonna hit the guy with the gun because that's a gun and guns are bad.
Why don't you roll agility? And that's your favorite weapon, so why don't you roll it twice and take the best?
Oh, sorry. I thought that I rolled twice, and in that case, I will
roll twice again, because that was for initiative.
Oh, okay. Sorry. And the 4 was the first die anyway, so whatever. I'll roll once just to be fair,
okay.
Or if it lets me. That's a 2.
Nice. You hit him. Why don't you roll the damage, which I think is a d6
plus 1.
Plus 1.
Because of feel the pain. Yes.
Oh, right.
Because I'm the tough. And that's a 6 total.
He falls backwards and down. What do you do, Julietta?
Yeah, I think I have like a pistol concealed in my skirt somewhere, so I'm gonna whip that out and shoot one of the guys with the baton.
You certainly also carry an academic bag. I'm assuming almost everywhere.
Sure.
Less like a handbag and more of a small book pouch. So yeah, you pull out your small revolver and fire. Roll agility once and tell me how you do compared to your actual agility.
Okay, 1d20. So I got 14, which is 5 higher than my actual agility. So that's not very good.
Yeah, you miss. I don't think, luck would not help you there. Because the best thing you can get with luck is 3 to adjust with it. So I won't waste your luck. Can you do what? I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's all.
So you miss. At which point, one of them smashes a window and Henrika screams, and the other 2 come for the 2 of you. What is your agility again, Julietta?
Sorry, it's 9.
9. You able to step out of the way as the guy bashes the door of the carriage with his baton. And what about you?
My agility is 10.
Alistair. He hits you rudely.
Wow, rude ass.
You take.
I mean, they were assaulting the carriage to begin with. They are known to be rude asses.
You take 3 damage. To your vitality. And the musician starts to get out of the carriage looking very confused. The poet looks like he wants to bolt, and Henrika is calling out. There are people who've noticed the gunshot and are starting to surround. Why don't you guys check your agility again for initiative?
Five under my 10 agility. I am rolling really well today.
How about you there?
I got a 9, so that's a critical success, I think.
Yes. So I'm gonna give you advantage on whatever you do with your agility. So let's have you do that first.
Would I be able to roll physique if I tackled one of them, or
Yes.
is it always agility to fight?
No. You can anything physical. Fisticuffs would be physique.
Okay, well I'll drop the pistol because it was just one shot and rush the nearest guy and try and like grab him and wrench the baton out of his hand.
Roll your physique.
Okay, another d20. I got a 10, which is under my physique.
And he failed to exceed your physique. When they need to roll, they try to exceed. So that a match or lower is good for you, exceeding is good for them. He failed to exceed your physique. You got under your physique. You've got his baton, and he is on the ground or pinned. Your pick.
On the ground, thanks, because there's still more people to deal with.
Okay. Um,
I got a 5.
what are you doing?
I will go immediately after the guy who is threatening my sister, of course. Well, actually, there's a guy in between me and that other guy, so I'll go after the guy
They're
who
both
hits me.
right there. They're both right there. So you're going to go with the one who hit you?
All right, cool.
What roll your physique again? Or you
Physique,
throwing? Yeah, I mean, like at this point, you're sort of close enough to like use a
shank.
concealed
Yeah,
knife. Yeah, so you can roll physique,
that
and
is a failure.
you're still at advantage because you're
Yeah, even with advantage, that is a failure. That is a 20 and a 19.
No, at least it's not a critical failure.
At least I had advantage.
And luck won't help you there. And they're going to try to hit you again, missing you. And the other one is going to try to hit you again, hitting you. You're going to take 4 vitality damage. And at this point, they start to run off as police start to show up.
Is the guy who's down still down?
Oh yeah, the guy who's down is still down. Both the guys you've caught are still under. The one that you sort of tossed down, Julietta, is trying to crawl away, but is doing a bad job of it. And it looks like the police are escorting him off. I'd like both of you to make an intellect check.
I don't really want to let the police escort him off right away.
Or at least they're handcuffing him up.
Okay.
All right, I rolled a 1. I don't know if that's good or bad, depending on the difficulty.
That's fine. What about you, Julietta?
I rolled a 20, so I guess that's bad.
It's actually okay because one of you has seen it. So there's not really a critical failure condition. But Julietta, you'd be very prone to take the pamphlets in the pocket and the sneering references to Lord Edward as indications that you'd been attacked by some of Lord Edward's cronies. But Alistair, you recognize 2 things. First, these are not any of the people you talked to at the reception. None of these people were around the Duke at the time. And all of them have just west side of the city accents, like thick west side of the city accents.
Someone's trying to frame Edward then.
Either that or Edward hired just some toughs, but then why would he give them a bunch of pamphlets? Victoria, the young poet in Conrady's
Victoria or Julietta?
Victoria
Okay, it is Victoria.
comes running into the house, throwing the front door open, sending the servants into more confusion. Downstairs, insisting that Lady Henrika's carriage is under attack. And I think that is where we're going to pick up next time.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I'm going to stop the recording.